last time we talked about the importance of chores and the value of giving an allowance. And the question comes up, just how do you go about delegating chores to your kids? I think there are several ways you can do it. One, you can be real authoritarian and just assign the chores to the kids. The problem with that, though, is the kids don't have a whole lot of buy-in, and you're going to meet a lot of resistance because the kids need to feel like they had a voice in the whole process. Another way to do it is to put the chores in a hat and draw names out of a hat. So you could say, pull it up, and there'd be the chore for cleaning the cat box, and you could say, CJ, that's your chore. Pull up another one and say, there's doing dishes, and you can say, well, we'll give that one off to the bug. Pull up another one that says, paying the mortgage, we'll give that one to mom and dad. That's a lot of fun, but again, the kids don't have a lot of control in it, and it becomes a lottery, and it puts them on edge. The other way you could do it is get a whiteboard and start brainstorming some of the things that you can do. So you get everybody involved, and you just have them start identifying things that need to be done around the house. So what we did is we brainstormed a lot of the chores that we got to do around the house. And now the kids know what needs to be done, and then they can select what they want to do. And of course, paying the bills. The kids don't have the ability to pay the bills, so mom and dad will put their name next to that one. How about watering the plants? CJ, he'll say, I want to water the plants, so he'll say, put CJ's name down there. And the bug, she loves pushing a broom around, so we'll put the bug there. Feeding the dog. Well, I think CJ, he likes to feed the dog. And the nice thing about feeding the dog is they'll always remind them that they got chores to do. Pack lunches for school. Kids suggested that, but then I got to thinking, how does packing the lunch for school benefit the whole family? I really don't care if my kids go to school hungry once in a while because they forgot to pack their lunch. So we won't call that a chore. That kind of falls on the kids for their own comfort. Repair the vehicle. That always falls on dad. Get the mail. Well, CJ likes to get the mail. Drive. That's always up to mom and dad. I don't have any drivers yet. Mom and dad. Clean common areas. Everybody should do that. Maybe you should pass it on from week to week. You may want to have a conversation about how to do that. Mow. The bug. She likes making those straight lines. So she likes to mow. So these are the ways that you can get buy-in from the kids to doing the chores. Whatever method you use to delegate chores doesn't guarantee that the kids aren't going to resist. They're going to resist. What child worth their weight in salt isn't going to resist? We want our kids to stand strong in their power, and sometimes resisting is just the tool that they use to do it. And that's okay. But by getting them some buy-in into it, the resistance is going to be a lot less and are more likely to comply. And we'll talk about some ways how that can happen. So how do you enforce getting kids to complete their chores? Well, the first thing is never pay kids to do their chores. Chores are just contributions that they do around the house. Allowance is free money without conditions that the kids can use to pay you to do their chores if they should elect not to do their chores. Never demand a child do their chores right now. Instead, give them an extended deadline. An extended deadline can look like the end of the day. What time do they go to bed? Well, they can go to bed as soon as they finish their chores. Maybe the extended deadline is before the next meal. Remember, you're not withholding food from your child. That food is available for them as soon as they finish their chores. So, finish your chores before the next meal by a specific time. I want your chores done by noon so that we can go do something more fun in the afternoon. So what do you do if the kid chooses not to do their chores? Well, if you said you need to have the chores done by the end of the day and they went to bed, feel free to wake them up to do their chores. Maybe they can pay you to do their chores. And how can they pay you? Well, you give them an allowance. You take their allowance as payment for doing their chores. If they don't have any money because they spend all their allowance, kids have toys like a bicycle or other toys that you can take as collateral until they complete their chores. Maybe they need extra supervision, and maybe they need somebody to pay to supervise them when they do their chores. So you can use their allowance, which is condition-free money, to pay you to do their chores. Never remind a child to do their chores. Instead, let the natural consequences of not doing their chores occur. So let's review the value of chores. First, the child gains a sense of belonging and importance in the family. It sends a message to the child that says, you are needed, you have value, you have an important role to play. When a person feels needed, they feel connected. And let's face it, humans have an innate need for belonging and feeling connected. Next, the child begins to stack up a resume of achievements, particularly if there is some struggle involved. It sends a message to the child that we can do things for others even when we're not feeling very motivated. It also sends a message that says we can experience success when the job is hard. And then there's always that warm intrinsic reward of finishing a task. And let's face it, by doing chores when they're really young, it builds a good work ethic. Parents can also establish themselves as loving authority figures simply by sending the message to the kid that says, when the work is done, then we can play. Chores can also be a natural consequence for a child's misdeeds, and it might sound something like this. Son, I spent a lot of time and energy fretting about what you did, and because of that, I don't have the energy to get my own chores done. However, if you'll lend a hand, it will even things out. So here's a list of the things that I didn't get done that you can do while I rest. Thank you. So those are ways that you can get a child to do their chores. Let's face it, getting kids to do their chores isn't going to be easy, and you're going to meet resistance. You just got to expect that. But remember, what kid worth their salt isn't going to resist? We want our kids to stand strong in their power from time to time. And until next time, remember that if family life was easy, therapists would be out of a job. If you like this stuff, and even if you don't, go ahead and hit like, share it, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll make some more of it.